Hey everyone, I'm Tassenix and welcome back to another mod guide video. This time we're covering 000, the third member of the Afra BT1 trio. So, this guy, you're thinking he looks like C-3PO, and so you're thinking to use him like a support, but he ain't your mama's protocol droid. This guy actually does enormous damage, significant damage, and we'll dig into the ways that you can treat this guy. As always, let's go ahead and start off with the TLDR for 000. A special side note, I took a look at some of the top players in the game and saw that I favor a very offensive build on him, whereas some of the other top players go for survivability, so I'll try to give a little due time to both. But that said, I'm going to cover my build kind of on the left here, and then the protection thing to the right. Set types in either case should be speed and potency. The arrow in my build is offense, or you can go speed. Circle, no, that's not, sorry, that shouldn't be offense. That should just be protection. Protection is the answer for that one, so let me correct myself there. Triangle can be offense for my build, or protection if you're going survivability, and cross can be offense. Or if you're going survivability, you can go potency or protection. He doesn't need a ton of potency added because of other people's effects. Like, he has translation, and then Afra also contributes potency. As far as turn order goes, he'll end up being second, right? So Afra gets the bonus turn meter off rip, and then this guy should be kind of going second after that. Your stat priority should be speed over offense over potency. Alright, we just need this guy to take a large number of turns. Speed will help us do that. We want him to slap as hard as possible, and then potency kind of takes care of itself. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's again review the effects from the Dr. Afra leadership, suspended doctorate. Whenever a dark side ally inflicts a debuff, they gain 5% offense for 1 turn, and Afra gains 5 siphon until the end of the encounter. However, if the dark side ally is a droid, Darth Vader, or Kersantin, they instead gain 10% offense for 1 turn, and Afra instead gains 10 siphon until the end of the encounter. With the Omicron applied to her leadership, which only applies in 5 vs 5 Grand Arena, Darkside, Droid, and Scoundrel allies have plus 50% critical avoidance and 30 speed, and whenever a Darkside, Droid, or Scoundrel ally inflicts a debuff on an enemy, they gain 10% turn meter, limit once per turn. Also to consider is Afra's unique Droid Savant, which says while she is active, BT1 and 000 have plus 20% potency and plus 20 speed. Alright, so I usually say as a nominal figure for most characters, you kind of want to start the battle around 100% potency if you care at all about applying debuffs. His main debuff, Torture, can't really be resisted. So it's about the shock from his basic for the most part. That's when you're thinking about, his potency, but we get a little cushion here just from her unique plus 20%. Alright. Let's go ahead and dig into his first unique, Interrogation Protocol. Darkside allies gain 20% critical damage, and if you've seen my previous video on BT1, you can understand why. Boy, is that nice. Alright, whenever a Darkside ally uses an ability on an enemy with Torture, grant that ally 1 stack of translation, maximum of 3, for 3 turns. Darkside allies gain 5% potency for each stack of translation on them, doubled for droids, right? So with 3 stacks of translation, it would be plus 30% potency. So you have 20% from the unique, up to another 30% granted by stacks of translation. So we can go fairly low on potency on this guy and still have a better than even chance of landing those debuffs that can be resisted, right? Alright, translation, again, is defined here as it is on C-3PO. Beneficial effects build based on the cumulative number of stacks. With 1 stack, the target, the ally gains 30% max health. With 2 stacks, they gain 15% critical chance. And with 3 stacks, if 1 ally who grants translation is present, decrease this character's cooldowns by 1 when that ally uses their basic, limit once per turn. Okay, his second unique, Drain Organics. Whenever 000 or BT1 gain a stack of translation, they grant a stack of translation to the other, limit once per turn. At the start of 000's turn, inflict target lock. So that's another debuff he does for 1 turn on a random non-droid enemy that doesn't already have it. Whenever a non-droid enemy is defeated, the attacking ally recovers 30% health and protection. If the attacking ally is a dark side droid, they also gain offense up for 2 turns and 15% turn meter. If the attacking ally is BT1, he gains offense up for 2 turns and 30% turn meter instead. Alright, this is pretty good stuff. Let's talk about his basic, Fatal Shock. Deal special damage to target enemy and inflict shock for 1 turn. If the target enemy is a non-droid ally and was already inflicted with shock, stun them for 1 turn instead. If this ability defeats an enemy, gain a stack of translation, maximum of 3 for 3 turns. So it's important to realize that the way they gain translation here, there's 3 ways in this team, right? You have it when you're hitting an enemy with torture. You can get it from this basic, and where is that? Yeah, whenever 000 or BT1 gain a stack, the other one gets one passed to them. All right, so let's remember that. And then of course, specialized in torture, his first special. Deal special damage and inflict torture on target enemy for 1 turn, which can't be copied, dispelled, evaded, or resisted. If the target enemy already had torture, instead deal special damage to all enemies and grant all dark side allies a stack of translation, maximum of 3 for 3 turns. So this is a 4th way to get translation. But wait a minute, it did say if they already had torture. Okay, so it does assume that torture was down. So, but it is nevertheless a 4th way to gain translation through this team. So good odds of that spreading around for our murder droids, right? And then we have in 3 versus 3 with the Omicron applied, torture lasts for 2 turns instead of 1. If BT1 is an active ally, BT1 and 000 recover 20% health and protection. Let's see, it doesn't say a condition. If BT1 is an active ally, torture lasts for 2 turns. BT1 and 000 recover 20% health and protection. If this ability defeats an enemy... Oh, I see. Yeah. When you press the button for this ability, you're just going to be gaining 20% health and protection back. And if this ability defeats an enemy, all dark side allies gain 10% offense, stacking for the rest of the encounter, doubled for dark side droids. So 20% stacking on BT1? Yes, please. Okay. And, of course, if you don't remember off the top of your head how torture is defined, that's given from Grand Inquisitor's kit, but I got it on screen here. So you're going to put that debuff on somebody, and with the Omicron in 3 versus 3, it lasts for 2 turns. And that debuff target, it says on them, take bonus damage equal to 10% of this character's max health when damaged by an attack. Reduce their defense by 10%, stacking, maximum of 50%, for the rest of the encounter when damaged by an attack. And this target cannot gain bonus turn meter. So, pretty devastating stuff. Alright? And if you saw my BT1 video, I did say in there that if you already had Omicrons on Dr. Aphra taken care of, and you had an extra one burning a hole in your pocket and thinking, oh, you know, I don't mind placing one for 3 versus 3, knowing it won't help me in 5 versus 5, and I'm wondering if I should put it on BT1 or 000. I would have you do it on 000. It's way better. Not only do you get those active benefits from that, but when you think about that 20% health and protection recovery from that, that is often, you know, 1 or 2 extra banners at the end of a fight in Grand Arena. So that's not to be overlooked. Little advantages like that. I don't know about you guys, but I just recently, at the end of the last 3 vs 3 season, lost a match by something like 8 banners, right? Where in a more efficiency-based match, pennies really add up, man. So it's something to consider, all right? That covers his kit. Let's talk just a second about team comps and turn order. So I will refer you back to the main Dr. Aphra video where I explain the reasons behind all these different 5 versus 5 combinations. Of course, in 3 versus 3, you've got your core trio, and all of these team compositions are shown in terms of desired mod speed, okay? So even though Afra is going to actually go first at the start of battle with that bonus turn meter she gains, I have it listed where you actually will have 000 modded fastest of all. Okay. And he's safely faster than Dr. Afra. But that said, all these different 5 versus 5 combinations, I forgot to mention in the base Dr. Afra video about also if you're throwing this on defense, let's say like you have this last team here with IG-86 and IG-88, drop the IG-86 and put in Hondo Onaka. Or you could drop both of these last two and put in like Darth Vader and Hondo Onaka. Why is this interesting? Because Hondo Onaka is a neutral character, and you know Afra's leadership. Afra's ability to summon the extra droid, that dark side droid, depends from Afra's leadership on everybody being like a dark side ally. And at a code level, it's actually checking to see are all allies not light side. So you can actually include Hondo Onaka in this team. He's a great scoundrel. He'll gain scoundrel-related benefits in here. And because he's not light side, you'll still be able to summon the commando droid with Afra's first special. So pretty nice. I forgot to put that in her video, so I want to make sure for at least the two of these guys that I mentioned it, because I was kicking myself afterwards. Alright, but anyways, for the detailed rationale and the benefits of these different comps, again, see the Dr. Afra video. Now, let's talk a bit about the mods themselves. First, I'm going to cover my spec, the more offensive build, and then we'll talk more about the survivability stuff. So, as you can see, I'm at about 340 speed. For context, my Afra is about 326, so a little bit faster, but as fast as I could reasonably make him. With respect to also wanting some pretty high offense, I went aggressive with this guy. This trio, Afra BT1 000, gets a lot of attention from me, so I'm not going to say this particular setup is easy to come by, but it's hot, and it works. So yeah, we got that 339 speed, so just shy of 340, without it being a speed primary arrow. Very, very nice. We don't need to have a crit damage triangle or anything like that. As a special damage dealer, it's pretty difficult to push special crit chance high enough where that can happen. And really, as far as stat budget on these mods, it's so much more important that we have both speed and offense over the ability to critically strike. So that's my rationale there. Potency, you can see that, you know, just between secondaries and this potency 2-piece, I've racked up just over 50% potency, setting me under just 90% as a total. Then you figure I'm getting 20% at the battle start from Afra, and then we can build our potency from there, right? I would, you know, with the stacks of translation and everything. So all that said, I don't think you need to put a ton of effort on potency. It seems to come fairly easily. If you wanted to use a potency cross and you don't have as strong a potency secondaries as I do, completely reasonable alternative. So you can go offense if you can, potency if you had to, for this more damage-oriented build. All that said, we have that offense primary for arrow, for triangle, for cross, and then protection to maximize survivability on the circle. Special offense, you know, I took this character up to Relic 9 pretty late, just for minor gains. It is really quite a luxury. I'd say this character has pretty good gains all the way up through Relic 8. You know, BT1 I recommended pushing to Relic 9 if you had the luxury to do so, because even those little bit of offense gains get doubled by BT1's second unique, right? We don't have quite as strong a gain here, so that's fine, you know. Still, 12,600 special offense is pretty damn good, considering, you know, how fast we are and how much potency we have in general. So that's about this very aggressive build. This guy slaps, okay? Don't underestimate him. You know, I think a lot of people are used to treating him like a C-3PO, like a motivator for the rest of the team, whereas this guy does significant harm by himself, all right? Now, a couple other players I wanted to highlight. So this is Kabuki Warrior, a guy who is usually #1 in the game, sitting up in the top bracket. See that he stays with the speed and potency set types, but has the speed arrow, protection for the triangle and circle, and then a potency cross. He's about 10 speed faster than I am. So if I was willing to concede some of that offense from changing the primary, I could go back to having a speed arrow be even a little faster than this, but have some less offense. All right, now he's got just over 100% potency, which is a great mark. There's a lot of different ways to resist debuffs in this game, so getting up over 100 as a base number, never terrible, even though we have that crutch from Afra's Unique. As far as protection numbers, yeah, he's seeking out survivability from his stats, right? You can see that there's a little bit of offense tucked in here, but it's a lot of speed, health, and offense, with, I guess, a smattering of potency in there in between. As far as his special offense, so yeah, about 2,300 less per, before any of the other offense multipliers and ways, from Afra's leadership, not from her leadership, but from her unique, these, and then you have your stacking offense from his, from 000's kit. So taking advantage of that, I decided to go more offensive, but if you were lower relics maybe, and you are seeing in your own experience that your BT1 or your 000 is going down too quick, I can respect that. In my experience, most of the time, enemies are going after Afra, and if not Afra, usually BT1. So I just don't feel rewarded myself, and this was back when I had him at like Relic 7 and Relic 8, so it's not just a Relic 9 thing. I feel like I was more rewarded going more offensive than survivability. Nevertheless, very highly rated, top-rated players are going with this kind of survivability build. And so I'll also highlight Aesop Rock here as well. He's about that same 350-ish mark, okay? Far less potency at 62%, so less than either of us. But again, you're gaining that 20% at battle start, and then it only grows from there. He went with triple protection after that speed arrow, right? And look at this very robust protection secondaries, right? Both percent and flat. So maybe if you had a super good protection primary, like super fast, right? You might use that instead of the speed. If you're going to go protection, right? If you're going all in on the survivability, go all in. As far as his special offense, yeah, so he has the least with just under 9,800 special offense, but he's certainly the most robust. So again, if your experience is showing that your 000 is just going down too quick and you're panicking, waiting for Afra to get her next turn and have the opportunity to revive him, stuff like that, consider the protection build, all right? As far as applications goes, I will again redirect you to the Afra video. I cover in detail some of the matchups that this team works best against in 5 versus 5 and 3 versus 3. I give you some details there. Definitely encourage you to check that out. Check the comments. Lots of discussion with that video as well. And I'd say that about wraps this one up. I am going to make a video here for I think a couple of the optional characters for Afra. I'm still thinking about it, but stay tuned. Otherwise, I really appreciate all of you guys' encouraging comments, interactions here on YouTube, joining the Discord, talking about the videos, talking about what videos you want to see next. Appreciate it all. It's a lot of fun, very encouraging, and I'm going to keep it going. But yeah, let me know here, Discord, wherever is best for you, what you want to see me cover next. And until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.